Hey guys, welcome to FlameWerk. I'm your host John. You may know me as Rossette. I'm going to take you guys through all the basics of flame working. I've been a glassblower for over 10 years. I'm self-taught. But one thing I learned, one of my flaws, was that I didn't like to learn from other people. I wanted to be hands-on. That character flaw probably set me back 5 years. I meet glassblowers on a regular basis that are better than me because they've studied under very good glassblowers and they've learned very quickly and they've learned great techniques, and so they don't develop bad habits. It took years for me to get the skill level that I have, so I'm hoping to save you guys years. I'm hoping to save you tons of time so that all you have to do is watch this video series and you'll be able to start your torch and work. Because if you're like me, you don't like to learn from other people. You like to trial and error your way. You like to buy your equipment. You like to own your equipment. And you like to make glass. So if you have plenty of time, you have tons of hours to put into this, this is the way to go through it. If you've been looking for a series that takes you from the beginning to advanced techniques, this is the series for you. If you're a beginner glassblower or a glassblower of any skill level, you'll be able to learn from this series. Now in episode 1, I'm going to take you through the basics: clothing, eye protection, how to set up and light your torch, what temperatures you need to be aware of, the different types of glass, and how to create gathers and terminations. Once we've covered all those things, you will be ready to move into part 2. Glass is an incredible medium. I've been blowing glass for over 10 years, and I've learned that I've barely scratched the surface on this incredible medium. Now there's many different types of glass. Specifically, the glass I work with is called hard glass, also known as borosilicate. Whenever I say I'm a glass blower, a lot of people, they picture drinking glasses and they picture windows. So this is a mason jar. This is what we call soda lime glass. This is your normal type of glass. It's not very strong and you'll find it all over the fucking world. This glass was created in ancient times. So it's usually meant for drinking vessels or cookware, eatery, stuff like that. It's not very strong, but this is, when you talk about glass, this is the type of glass most people picture: soda lime glass. If I drop it on the floor, it's gonna shatter. So everything we know about glass is really, you're gonna have to understand they're talking about soda lime glass. This is actually, it doesn't say Pyrex, but I'm pretty sure that this is not Pyrex. It might be, correct me if I'm wrong. This is not Pyrex. Pyrex is a brand name. Pyrex is a brand name for a type of borosilicate glass. All the glass that I work is boro. It's hard glass. So this series is going to be about how to flame work boro. I don't do soft glass, and this series is not about kiln work. It's not about cold work. It's about flame work. So if you're looking to learn about how to use a torch to make cool shit out of glass, you came to the right series. Okay, now let's get into it. This is a cotton shirt. Now, you're going to want cotton clothing, because if a piece of molten glass falls onto this, you're going to be okay. It's going to burn. It's not going to melt into your skin. Don't wear plastic clothing. Don't wear nylon. Don't wear anything that's polyester, nylon, plastic, half polyester, any of these things. Don't wear that type of clothing in your glass studio. You want cotton. This is what you want. Now, eye protection. Always wear eye protection in the glass studio. This is the most important rule. Always, not just eye protection for you, eye protection for the people watching, eye protection for the people around you. Safety is our #1 concern and our #1 priority. If you can blow glass safely, then you can blow glass for a long time. If you can blow glass safely, you can blow glass professionally. If you're not visually challenged like me, then you can get yourself one of these. These are just your normal hardware safety glasses, and whenever people come into the studio, I make them wear these. You're gonna be shocked how many times a little piece of glass could it could threaten your eyesight. So, never work glass without proper eye protection. Now, this is just talking about physical eye protection. Let's talk about didymium glasses. Now, the didymium glasses are very crucial. You can't be a glass blower without having glasses. The flame lets off UV light, and it's bad for your eyes. It lets the flame and the soda flare that comes off of the flame when you put the glass in it is very bad for your eyes, and it's very bright. It's bad for the people around watching, so what you're gonna need is didymium glasses. These cut through the glare, and they cut through the sodium flare, and they protect your eyes. You're gonna need didymium glasses. These aren't just for show, these are very important. Eye protection is very important. Let's talk about ventilation. When you're working with combustible fuels and dangerous chemicals in the glass, you're gonna need ventilation. You're gonna wanna replace the air in your room at least 3 times per minute. So the math on what kind of ventilation setup you're gonna need for your studio is gonna depend on where you're at, how big your studio is. Are you indoor? Are you outdoor? What does your situation look like? My studio is practically outside, so I don't have a ventilation issue here. But a lot of people that I know live in cities, or they blow glass in buildings. They need to have big industrial hoods over their situation because they need the air to go up or somewhere out of the building. Me, I'm practically outside. All right, now let's talk about the type of torch I'm using. What I got right here is a Bethlehem Champion burner. I love this torch. It's a 2-stage, it's a surface mix, so you don't have to have any of those pops or difficulty lighting. It lights really easy, it lights every time, plenty of power, plenty of heat for anything that you want to do. Bethlehem Champion. I highly recommend this torch. I wouldn't recommend it as a beginner torch. For a beginner torch, let me show you my beginner torch. This is the Carlisle Mini CC. Now, she's dirty, but this is my baby. This is how I first started blowing glass, and I swear I made incredible work on this tiny little guy. So, it looks like a toy next to this one, but if you're just starting, the price is right on one of these Mini CCs. Maybe you don't want to shell out the money that costs for the cost of one of these. I would recommend starting with one of these. It's surface mix, it's made by Carlisle, and Carlisle makes bulletproof fucking torches. Incredible. You have it the rest of your life. This one was made by Knight. This was my second torch. This one is exactly the same torch as the Mini CC, but a higher flow rate. This is an incredible torch. It was made by Knight. I highly recommend this torch. But for now, I'm working on my Champion. As you can see behind me, I'm using these tanks for my outer flame. I have an oxygen concentrator for the center fire, and I'm using tanked propane. That's my whole setup. I have a Bluebird XL, Champion, Oxy, and tanks. That's basically my whole setup. Oh, and this hand torch. This hand torch is incredible. We'll get into all the reasons you need all these tools, but I swear, when we got this hand torch, this took me to the next level. For real. You need to get your hands on one. This is an incredible torch. It's a premix, so it's super hot torch. Okay, let's say you guys are just setting up your setup. You got your torch, you got all your lines connected up. What you're gonna wanna do now is test for leaks. The way that I do that is I'll get a really soapy consistency. You could use detergent, dishwasher detergent soap. I get a real soapy water consistency and put the soapiness on the connection points and look for bubbles. Very simple, very low tech, but very effective for finding leaks. So make sure that you hit all of your fucking connection points and make sure you're 100% ready to go. Okay, right here, I have a bowl of water. Now, this seems very simple, and it is, but this bowl of water is very important, and it serves a very important purpose for collecting your scrap glass, but also for safety. Now, whenever you have hot pieces, we throw them in the water, they cool down. That way we don't have hot pieces lying around. Hot or sharp pieces. I like to break let me show you. If you're gonna get poked, it's gonna happen from one of these sharp pieces. So what I do is I always make sure to break down my sharp edges. See? So always break down your sharp edges. See the sharp edge here? I'm gonna break it down. Now, this is really messy because whenever I work, I tend to work really quick and really messy. But for you guys, I'm gonna try and clean this up a little bit, even though it's probably just gonna get messy again. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just get into it. For this next part where we're blowing glass, I'm not gonna be able to use the audio because the concentrator is very loud. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna blow glass and then I'm gonna voice over later. Okay, let's blow some glass. The first thing that I want to show you guys is this is what the flame looks like without the didymium filter. When I put the didymium glass over the camera, you'll notice a purple tint. But that's just one of the things that's happening. You may or may not notice, but the sodium flare when the glass enters the flame is gone. We can see right through it. So when the glass blower is working, he doesn't actually see all the orange flames that everybody else around him sees. When you're looking at it, this is more what you see. You see right into the flame, and you can see the color of the glass. You're going to use the color of the glass as a visual indication of the temperature of the glass. It'll turn orange, depending on the color. Clear will turn orange and then eventually turn brighter and brighter and brighter to almost a white. When you heat the glass to over 2,000 to 3,000 degrees, it begins to flow. We call that the gather. The rod itself we actually call a punty. So we're gathering at the tip of this punty. At this point, you're going to notice I'm going to actually terminate the gather. And right here, I'm lifting away from the flame. It's because the hottest part of the flame is the right at the bottom. So if you go further away from the flame, it gets cooler. This is crucial because when you're terminating, it tends to burn at the small termination point. So that's one technique that you make sure to understand, that you're actually going to want to terminate at a colder temperature than you would be normally gathering at. Also, there's different types of flame that I didn't show you. This is a right there, that would be an oxidized flame. So it's the hottest flame you can use is the oxidized flame. So here what I'm doing is I'm joining two pieces together, also what we know as a weld. And I'm going to show you, this is a technique that we use to stretch the glass and to pull prep work. So we call these stringers. When a small rod we call a stringer, and if it's hollow we call it a tube. That may sound obvious, but
to know what we're talking about, whether we're talking about a hollow punty, which is a tube, or we're talking about a normal punty. So when two glass blowers are working together, it's important to know so that you can communicate. Say, hey, go get me that hollow punty, that 12 mil hollow punty. So that's gathers and terminations. Play around with it. Try and understand that you have to see the temperature. More than you can feel the temperature when it gets liquidy, but you can see the temperature as it builds up to that liquid point. This last thing I'm going to do is called a latticino. It's going to combine all of the skills that we talked about thus far. I'm going to gather two colors together, but I'm going to add, when I'm stretching, I'm going to spin. And that's going to create the twisted latticino look. This is super common technique in the glass blowing industry, and it's an Italian term. And once you actually see it, you'll see it everywhere. You'll see it all over the glass industry, from old ancient goblets to brand new dab rigs in the industry. All of these techniques build on each other. So understand, at this point, you should know how to do a gather. You should know how to set up and start your torch, and you should know how to terminate. With those skills, the next thing to do would be learn the latticino. With these skills, you can make a lot of things. You could already start to make dabbers. You can make pendants. There's just a ton of techniques that revolve around these skills. And from this point forward, you're just going to use these skills in different ways to achieve different things. So there's no escaping it. Just learn them and get really good at them. And then later, you'll be able to use them in ways that you never would have imagined. So thanks for listening. This has been part 1 of torch work. And here's a look into what we're going to do in part 2. We're going to start working tubes, and I'm going to show you how to pull points. So here's a sneak peek at that. Stay tuned for part 2.